Ah, yes, Luce and Alex, probably one of the most popular pairs to run in the field in Rise of Kingdoms over the last 2.5 years. It's fantastic. So many good synergies and all the good things that come with it. Well, we have some changes now with the talent trees that they've put out, and I theory crafted on this, and now I'm going to show you the results, because now it's no longer Luce Alex to run, and a lot of people are still running that as a budget march, as a second pincer march, as a third infantry march. Now, take a look who's going to upend Alex as a better pair that everybody has right now. Hey everybody, I'm your boy War Daddy Chadsky, and I do videos for Rise of Kingdoms all the time, and I love doing these types of videos. Love it. I love theory crafting, and I love finding things in the game. Whatever the game gives us, y'all, we're going to figure it out. And obviously, in the recent updates, we have gotten crazy changes to the talent trees when it comes to mitigating smite and damage and doing, or smite and combo and doing different things with the tree. So if you like these types of videos, throw a thumbs up on it, give it a like. Really helps out the channel, helps out these videos a ton. And if you would be so kind, please subscribe if you haven't. Doesn't cost you anything, and you can hit that bell to get alerts when I do videos like this. And so this is Alex. Guys, he's been in the game for 5 years. One of the most used commanders in the game. Where am I at with my Alex? How many kills do I have on this guy? I've got 149 million kills. Just crazy. In his kit, he still has, to this day, one of the best debuffs in the game. All right, 3 nearby enemy troops take 30% more damage for 4 seconds. It's fantastic. But he's not a damage dealer. The only damage that he really does is off of his instant proc. Now, the beauty with this instant proc is that it's 1700 damage factor. It's the best instant proc in the game, probably with Philip. It's right there, but the reason why this is so great is because it's got a 3-second cooldown. And so Alex got a rebirth into the game. Now, we used to run years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, we used to run Guan Alex. Everybody ran Guan Alex, okay? Too many good synergies with the shielding and all the good things that they had, best commanders that we had. But then when Luce came into the game, Alex got a rebirth because, largely in part because of this second skill. Because Luce, as we've talked about many, many times, Luce fires off instant procs faster because he does so many combo attacks, and there's no cooldown to this. This fires off all the time. Luce is the OG combo commander. I've said this many times. Like, he is the original combo commander, right? Because he does this from his expertise, and that's why that's worked so well, okay? His third skill, he is one of the fastest infantry commanders out there. That's why Alex was really good for so long. Also, a lot of attack that you have with Alex. Not a huge tank commander, but a lot of attack. And when you don't have a shield, okay, you get a shield on his active skill, but when you don't have a shield, you do an extra 40% attack. So he runs the attack up 70% without a shield. And then he's got 30% attack and 30% defense when he does have a shield. So there is a little bit of tankiness when he throws that shield up to mitigate damage. And then obviously his expertise is just an enhancement of his active skill, and that's how it works. Now, for years, Luce and Alex has been like a staple run march. Like, even up until now, we say, hey, you can run that still in the meta, especially if you're running 6 or 7 marches, and especially if now you've got Sun Tzu and you're running BQ with them, and you don't want to run skill damage infantry anymore, okay, right? Because Ragnar and Scipio and Guan, they just fallen by the wayside. We're still waiting on the formation for the new skill damage formation to come out. But in the meantime, so many players are running Sun Tzu with BQ and still running Luce with Alex. Well, recently, they kind of nerfed Luce a little bit with the martial mastery. They did a new update with new talents, okay, or they just adjusted some talents, and they added a 3% less smite damage of all types to go along with the 6% more normal damage, all right? It's kind of counterproductive. I don't know why they would do this. You guys know my thoughts on that, and I disagreed with changing things midstream. But with that being said, we were trying to figure out exactly what this does. Did the trees really change the meta? Well, the biggest tree that changed the meta in this game was the support tree. And I don't want to say change the meta. Were there any trees that really affected different things in the game? And when you looked at it, the support tree had the biggest effect from the update, because now with loose formation, this used to just be skill damage. Now it's combo and smite, right? That's 9% less combo and smite. That's really, really good. And then when you add this on average, if you average this out, because you have a 50% chance every second to take 15% less skill damage, but now combo and smite damage of all types for 3 seconds. That's 45 seconds. And with a 50% chance, that's 45%, 15% times 3, 45% over a 5-second period ends up being 9% per second. 9% per second. So from that standpoint, you add the 9% mitigation per second on average and the 9% mitigation here, and that's 18%. On a baseline average, you're getting 18% less combo and smite damage taken. So that's huge. Well, we really didn't have any support commanders that we could go use when it comes to this. And let me kind of just show you here. We've got 2 main ones. Really, I'm going to say 3, okay? We've got Philip, who I run Philip Primary sometimes because I've got weird leadership gear. But Philip has got the support tree. He's going to get a natural bonus when it comes to that. And then where's our girl here? Joan. Okay, same thing with Joan. Now, the problem with Joan is that she's got the same thing on the support tree. The only problem is that Joan and the skill damage cavalry have just been completely cut by the wayside and people going with more combo, right? And it's the same thing with infantry and smite. And so from there, we're trying to figure out exactly how this thing works. Now that they've changed those trees, what happens? Well, guys, we ran the tests, and I'm here to tell you now, okay? If you're running Luce and Alex, and so many people are still running this, if you are running Luce and Alex, you now have a better pair with Scipio. Let that sink in for a second. Luce and Alex, after the talent tree update, is not as good as Scipio Primary with Luce. Let me explain, okay? Because they've got some synergies here, even though one's a skill damage commander and one is a smite damage commander, all right? Because we ran the tests. And what we did was I was looking for the difference, right? And I've got all those test results for you. I used Specco Simulator because Specco Simulator added the new trees and you got to see the difference, okay? And it gave us a great measure, all right? But I'm going to explain why Scipio is going to be even better in murder ball fights, okay? Number one, Scipio, he still does this 2,000 direct damage to 3 targets, and he's always had a health debuff. This kept him in the game for a long time, because the health debuff to the 3 targets for 3 seconds was always pretty good. Okay, his second skill, tons of attack. He does have 15% march speed with an additional 10% march speed when you're outside of Alliance territory. So he is very fast, not quite as fast as Alex, but very fast, especially outside of territory, okay? His third skill, he grabs health, right? He's more tanky. And then he also has an instant proc that does damage, right? Whenever this troop launches a basic attack, it does a 10% chance to deal additional damage, 500 damage factor to the target for 3 seconds. For 3 seconds. That's a 1,500 damage factor. Now, the only problem and real difference is the cooldown on this is 8 seconds, where the cooldown on the instant proc with Alex is 3. Okay, so you run the Alex much quicker and more frequent than you run the Scipio. But still, that's a good synergy with guess who? Luce. Okay, now people have kind of been running Luce and Scipio here and there, and they'll run it with Wedge or they'll run it with Pincer, and it does okay. It hadn't been as good as Alex, but now with the new talent trees, running Scipio Primary, better, just better. And I'll kind of explain, okay? The 4th skill, if this commander's troops are on the map and you take skill damage, you have a 50% chance to reduce the damage by 30%, okay? And then you grant a damage-absorbing shield of 500 damage factor. Not a huge deal, but you also shield other people, right? It's kind of like an Alex effect. You shield other people, and it's pretty good. Overall, there's just not that many skill damage commanders, so just not near as important to reduce the damage by 30% when you're getting hit every second in a small increment by Chen, you know, but you can mitigate a little bit of that damage, all right? His expertise, 10% more skill damage, okay? That's the damage he does. He does skill damage, a little disjointed with Luce, but their troops are going to gain rage 30% faster if the target is silenced. Well, we don't really have anybody that silences the target right now. Okay. And so from that standpoint, Luce doesn't silence the target. And so you don't really get much benefit from that. But overall, we're trying to figure out how this thing worked and what the difference was. Okay. And so I'm going to put this up and nobody needs to freak out. I'll explain it. Okay. I'm going to show you some duels, and these are duels before. Okay. These are duels before the talent trees changed. All right. And you can see here that Luce and Alex versus Scipio and Luce now both have the same gear and they're both running pincer. Okay. All the pincer stuff. And you can see that the Luce Alex, and I ran this about 10 times, and I picked out 4 that were kind of middle of the road here. But Luce and Alex, I think only lost once in 10 times. But every one that you see here, they won every time. Luce and Alex. This is before the talent tree update. Okay. You can see here the wins barely, but wins. You can see here wins by a decent margin. And so that's what we were seeing. Luce and Alex is really it's not really a dual march, but honestly, neither is Scipio and Luce. But I just wanted to see what the difference was. Okay. And then after the talent tree change with that update, this is what we got. All of a sudden, Scipio and Luce start beating Luce and Alex. Okay. Consistently. Like it completely flipped to where Scipio and Luce never lost. In 10 tries, never lost, just consistently beat Luce and Alex. And so that's what we found. All right. And so we're going through this saying, okay, Chadsky, duels aren't a big deal, but it is some sort of a measure to see the difference and what happens now when you're mitigating so much smite damage now in that duel, and you're mitigating more smite damage down here. It's a ton. It's a lot. In addition to that, when you're running Luce Primary with the Alex March, you're losing 3% more combo damage, right? Because they just added this 3% less skill, smite, and combo attack damage of all types. So you do less smite damage, all right? And so from there, you're stuck in kind of a weird situation. So we found out that in the duel setting, it's definitely more advantageous to go with Scipio and Luce with pincer, right? But then I wanted to think about DPS. I want a pure DPS. Like if we're in the field and I'm hitting a target, if I'm running 5 marches, 80% of the time, I'm not going to be targeted. I'm going to hit a march and I'm going to run it. So I used Specco's simulator, and this is what I did. I ran Sun Tzu and BQ as the target march, the tank march, if you will. And then I ran a typical 5-march setup. Gang and Achilles. I ran Zuge behind Chen. I ran Arthur and Philip, and I ran Luce and Alex as the 5 marches to round it out. So if you see here at the top, that's your overall. Now this is over, I think, a 10-minute period or something like that. That's your overall damage that we did. 17,431,000. That's the overall damage we did to the punching bag, if you will. And if you look down here at the bottom, it shows that the Luce March did 2.7 million damage. Okay, so we ran this a whole bunch. I took some of these different samples from it, but it's about the same, 17.3 million, and then Luce at the bottom, 2.7 million. Then I ran it again, almost 17 million, and then you can see Luce and Alex only did 2.5 million, and then I ran it again, and same thing, 16.5 million, and then 2.5 million from Luce and Alex. Okay, so that just kind of gives me an idea of how much damage I'm putting on this thing. Then I changed it, and I went with Scipio and Luce. Same gear, same armaments of pincer, and this is what we got. 18 million damage taken, and look at this, 3 million more damage from the Scipio March with Luce as compared to the 2.5 million from the Luce Alex. You see it again, 18.1 million damage. Okay, we're doing a lot more damage. We're like a good amount of more damage, and we're doing 3 million damage on the Scipio Luce, which I think is about 8 to 9% more damage than the Luce Alex. We ran it again, 18.6 million damage to the punching bag, and again over 3 million damage from the Scipio. And then lastly, same thing, 18 million over 3 million. So you're getting, if you look at the bottom, you're getting consistently 3 million damage factor coming from Scipio Luce. Well, you change that to Luce Alex and you're getting considerably less, like 12.5% less, about 12% less damage from the Luce and Alex, give or take, anywhere from 400,000 to 500,000 less damage on this particular DPS tester, if you will. Okay, so all of a sudden now we're starting to put up these different measures that show us that Scipio Luce is gonna do more damage and is a lot tankier. Now, here's the other factor to this that people really have to understand. When it comes to being in the field, okay, and you're running out 5 marches, all right, and you're getting hit, the majority of your marches are not being targeted, right? One of them might be targeted, and in rare cases, sometimes 2 of them might be targeted, but the rest of them are just pummeling away, but they're getting hit with AoE like crazy. Okay, the Luce and Alex did not get any benefit from the talent tree update when you're getting hit with AoE. Now, all of a sudden, you look at the Scipio with Luce, the majority of damage you take in the field when you're murder ball fighting is AoE damage. And the majority of AoE damage, or all the AoE damage, is going to be skill, combo, and smite. Now, when this used to say just skill, then all the combo and smite damage you're taking, you're not mitigating it. But now that the updates happened, you're mitigating smite and combo by, on average, 18%. So a lot tankier in the field when you're getting hit with AoE when you run the Scipio with Luce as opposed to the Luce with Alex. So there's even more benefit of being tanky while you're getting hit with all these AoE commanders and all these AoE marches of the enemy. The Scipio is much tankier, much tankier of being able to take that damage and mitigating it. Okay, so you last longer, and just naturally with the AoE damage, even though it's skill damage and you're running pincer formation with Luce behind it, you're doing more damage. Now, the only other difference or the only benefit that Alex gives over Scipio is that you're comparing a 30% health debuff for 3 seconds to one of the best debuffs in the game, where you're taking 3 enemy troops and they're going to take 30% more all damage for 4 seconds. Okay, that's the benefit of Alex. But overall, Scipio is going to, number one, perform better, and your murder ball is going to perform better. Okay, so this is to everybody running a Luce Alex March. Use the same gear and the same pincer formation that you're running with that, and run Scipio Primary with Luce. That Scipio Luce is the new Luce Alex March. That's what I'm saying. It's going to perform better. It's going to be tankier. It's going to do more damage overall. It might not be as good on the debuff, but overall, the March is going to do better, and you're going to lay down more damage as a whole. And so from there, that's what you got to consider, because a lot of people were upset that Luce got mitigated a little bit, got nerfed a little bit with Martial Mastery, and the Luce Alex March is just kind of losing a little bit of its luster. It doesn't perform quite as well, but now Scipio and Luce, it's back. We've never had it in the game where a commander like Luce can carry another commander like Alex, and then midstream, with the game making adjustments to talents, it switches to where Luce now carries Scipio. But now Scipio, because of the mitigation, is kind of carrying some of his own weight and being more tanky. How crazy is that? And so if you are running 2 smite marches, and let's say you're running Sun Tzu with BQ and you run Luce and Alex, well, now Scipio and Luce, rock and roll, support tree for the win, man. You're going to do better. Okay, and so from there, also if you're running 3 smite marches, and let's say you're running Sun Tzu with Wallace, and you're running BQ with Philip, or BQ with CJ, then now you can run Scipio with Luce. It doesn't matter who's primary. He doesn't have the skill tree. It's not like you're doing a bunch of skill damage stuff over here. It's the support tree. All right, so it's the same concept as Alex. The skill damage you do is a little disjointed. I get that. And when you get the additional skill damage, where's that at? The additional skill damage that you do It doesn't help your Luce March or your Luce Commander because Luce does smite, but still, we've been dealing with a disjointed situation where this instant proc is all skill damage anyways. We've always been dealing with that when it comes to Alex. Well, now, put Scipio Primary, make it tankier, put Luce behind it. It's going to outperform your Luce Alex. It's almost as fast, does more damage. It's much, much tankier, decent synergies. It just doesn't put the all damage debuff down, but it's not going to matter. You're already doing so much more damage. The Scipio with Luce will do better. So get down in my comments. Tell me what you think. And I know some of you are going to be like, Chatsky, I literally just reset my Scipio. I can't believe you're saying this. Bro, I can't believe I'm saying it. Okay? I wasn't the one that changed the talents. I'm just the one that's got to go figure it out after they've done it. And that's what we figured out. I can't wait to see some reports on this, but you run Scipio Luce with Pincer and all your gear, and it's going to outperform Luce and Alex. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please throw a thumbs up on it, give it a like, help out the channel, and if you would be so kind, get down there in the comments. You guys know me. I love getting in the comments and talking to everybody. And also, if you want to join my Discord link is in the description. I get pinged in my Discord all the time. I ain't hard to find, y'all. You can always find me in my Discord. And so with all that, we hope you have a great day, broskies.